it. But, Johnny, I feel like at times like this, I want that secondary stream that follows our panelists after this. So we hear just the pure bragging for whichever side ends up being right.
And the pain in the side that end up being wrong. I mean, who are you siding with here? They had a real go at each other with this one.
So you're asking me there, not necessarily whose point do I agree with, but who do I want to hear in pain?
Yeah.
We are going to see offense. I think Gibbs would take it with honor and dignity, I think.
True,
Wave, less so. So,
yeah,
Wave.
Yeah. You want to see Soniqs win just so Wave gets really upset?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think you're probably going to get what you want, because I've got Soniqs winning this. I have to agree with Gibbs. You know, these guys, the Soniqs, have had a couple of impressive grid runs so far, and although RLCS X Regional is another level of competition, it's not like these guys aren't experienced. I'm sure they can transition those performances into this match without too much difficulty. That being said, one of the teams that swept the Peeps in this week's The Grid tournament actually got swept by the Peeps today in XSET. So clearly this is a different Peeps that are showing up. You know, I still think Soniqs are going to have the edge, though.
Yeah, Soniqs, we're looking to see whether or not they can be more offensively potent this week. Spent a lot of last season just waiting for mistakes. And just trying to take the opportunities after that. J-Russ should do a very good job of trying to correct that in their play style. And, you know, I really want to see if this one's going to be an opportunity. Safu, as always, called into defensive duty. Shock will help him out. But for the newer viewers here, Johnny, the ones that might not necessarily be quite as familiar with J-Russ, I don't think there's anyone more in the world who might be more familiar than yourself.
Yeah, for me, J-Russ, you know, he started off from the 1v1 world and he's transitioned into threes extremely well. You know, there's been a lot of discussion over whether one's players can transition to threes. I think J-Russ is evidence that they 100% can, and they will continue to do so. Incredible mechanical player, and he's looking like a great team player. Great third for this team alongside Safu and Shock, who have had success as a duo in recent past. This team, I think they've got a lot of potential. Same can be said for the Peeps, though. Both incredibly high teams in the potential category.
Almost half the game gone. Still waiting for our first real opportunity. Both teams struggling to really get too much going. They start us off their campaign for RLCS Season X. AJ looks at the flip reset. J-Russ will keep that one away. And definitely expect the team style to be more J-Russ chasing around, as that's a poor ball from Shock. Almost caught his own team out. Expect Safi to be more of a rotation holder for this roster.
This is something we've seen from Soniqs in the past. In fact, when they had their most successful run through RLCS league play in the past, it was a very defensive foundation that they built upon, and just being clinical, taking their chances, you know, scraping through a lot of game fives in a good way. So I'm not at all surprised to see this defensive approach. It's been what the Peeps want. They would rather be on the attacking side as much as possible. I don't think Soniqs are too bothered by that. Nice 50-50 though by Illusion. Leaves a free shot for Gyro.
And it was a weird way of trying to go about defense. Two players collided into the left-hand side. And it meant that they just had no access to anybody to run on with the bumper for the actual challenge.
Wow. It was so smart though by Illusion. He turned away from the challenge, and you could see that Soniqs, they wanted to have that ball ricochet into the wall and get away from the corner, but that wasn't allowed. Good challenge by J-Ross, last man back, and he had to do well there. That's an absolute steal of a position that you wouldn't really expect to get much of. So really good job by the new boy on the Peeps. Illusion making himself count here. Are they going to get another one on the counter-attack? No, this is just a bit too straight. Safu comfortable to run it wide.
So far, Safu and the rest of the Soniqs haven't really had too much midfield control over the last few minutes. They're giving up a lot of it. J-Russ going to early turn, looks to keep on the ball. The Shock with a pop-up. J-Russ looks for a demo. AJ's now caught in. Ends up being the secret goalkeeper for his team. His team is still in trouble.
There you go.
And Safu will tie us up.
And this time it's the 50-50 in the favor of Soniqs that bounces out middle for Safu to attack. Nobody was sitting back on that goal line. Gyro had crept off it. Didn't expect the ball to bounce over his head like that. But you have to be ready for it sometimes. You never really know what's going to happen in a 50-50 situation. Soniqs back in it, but a chance for Gyro to put them ahead, and he will. Peeps are going to retake the lead after a few seconds of a tie game.
Oh, Shock just panicked. He didn't know where to put the ball. He was trying so desperately to make sure that he wasn't going to get dunked. Ends up just popping it straight over, and it is that continued pressure, the hit and then follow, that is working out so well for the Peeps. 40 seconds left on the clock. Not too far away from taking their first win. J-Ross tries to recontrol the ball and needs Safu to come in for him. It's not enough, really. Not enough in terms of two-touch plays that we are getting from Soniqs. Very much a one-and-done sort of deal, and that's not what they need. They've got 20 seconds. Got to find that chance.
Wow, Gyro now filled with confidence after his goal, which put his team in front. It's worth mentioning that Soniqs are not making just consistent contact with the ball. We saw Shock just fly past a basic aerial a couple of seconds ago, so they're not playing their best for game one, and it's not going to be a good outcome for them. As a result, the Peeps were the more threatening team for the majority of that game, but I'm very surprised that the Soniqs look so inconsistent with their touches on the ball. They just weren't hitting the ball hard, like I would expect.
No, it was a very subdued attempt from Soniqs. More of a get rid of the ball rather than trying to get rid of it and actually follow up. You know, you can clear long and still make use of it, but they just weren't really. And even the long clears that they were getting, you know, if you are going to do it as an attempt to maybe get a demo, steal some position on the other side, you really want to be hitting that towards the backboard, making it awkward for the final third. Soniqs weren't doing that. They were hitting it, but it was dropping at least, you know, halfway into their opponent's half. Easy to control for the Peeps.
Yeah, Peeps were able to send the ball back into the Soniqs end. As the Soniqs tried to hard clear the ball, like you say, they just weren't hitting those spots that the Peeps couldn't respond to. You know, sometimes absolutely smashing the ball into the other team's back wall is not a good idea. If you see someone already up there who can use the pace that you've put onto the ball to send it back with even more speed, then that's obviously not a good idea. But you know, if you can see a gap in the opponent's defense where you can just put the ball into an awkward position and not allow them to run onto it while they're facing the play, that's going to be a lot harder to clear. That's going to buy some pressure for Soniqs so they can actually attack for once in a while. But it looks like they're lacking confidence. If anything, this game, it didn't look confident from the Soniqs. So they were very tame. Looked like they were trying not to lose more than anything, and they ended up losing anyway.
Yeah, very much need to remind themselves that it's the same game. You know, the tournament is different, the stakes are different, but they are the same roster that have managed to take down a win against NRG lately.
Yeah.
And they've got to believe in themselves that they are at that level.
Yeah, they've been consistent in the grid, and we knew that there would not be 100% consistency looking at how teams perform in the grid versus RLCSX regionals. But yeah, I didn't think there was going to be that much of a difference. That's a good shot from J-Ross. Good to see them just smashing the ball on target. Shock will batter in the rebound. That's more like it from Soniqs. They didn't waste any time there.
I think that's the last thing you want to see if you're on the defensive side for the Peeps, giving J-Ross that much time, giving him that much space to do what he wanted. He made the right decision. He could have tried to go solo. Instead, just made everything as awkward as he possibly could.
Yeah, and they didn't hold anything back with those two shots. They weren't worried about, you know, hitting the crossbar or slightly missing the target. You need to hit the ball with sufficient power for it to be any threat at this level for a goalkeeper who's waiting for your shot. So I'd rather see that, you know, just Soniqs let loose on their finishing touches. That could be 2-0. Good save by Illusion, and it's fell free for AJ.
Shock.
That could be Gyro. He just ran out of boost. Soniqs get away with it for now. Near post defense coming in clutch.
Shock got really antsy to start moving forward and almost got caught for it. Now to the other side of the field. Couldn't quite find Safu. This is where Soniqs was so good in Season 9, though. Once they got their first goal, very good at maintaining it. Will that be the same case with this new roster in this brand new season? This is going to be the best test for them. Peeps now have their opportunity. That's great play from AJ. Very unlucky to be completely out of boost, but he did make the most of it. Shot continues to go hunting, and Illusion tried to avoid him. Couldn't get there on time. That is brilliant from Soniqs.
Yeah, great demo by J-Ross. It looked like Gyro completely fumbled his half flip as he attempted to recover. And you're going to put your money on J-Ross to score from a ground shot in that position. Good placement. Illusion had no chance.
So 2-0. Soniqs bouncing back of what was a Very, very tame affair from them. Speaking of tame, that touch from Gyro, it's got to be better. He's dropped it for J-Rus. And he's now rocking and rolling here in game 2.
Yeah, this is the Soniqs that we expected. But the Peeps are showing some of their inconsistencies and why they've struggled in the recent grid tournaments. This is a big game, a big series. The team that wins this, they'll have 3 shots at qualifying for the next stage of the competition. They'll be undefeated going into the 3rd round of Swiss. That means that any win in the next 3 series, if they need 3 series, would qualify them to stage 2. For the team that loses this, they'll need to win 2 out of the next 3. It's just such a huge difference there.
This is very much the round that you figure out whether or not you're going to be flowing pretty easily if you're going to start getting dragged into the deep end of this tournament.
Yeah.
And you know, it's got to be said as well, we saw teams saying, hey, you know, these are long days. You get this done nice and early, you're done, you're fresh. If you start taking it towards the 4th, 5th round, you're starting to ask more of yourself other than just what your mechanical ability is in Rocket League, but also what your mental ability is to last through those long days.
Yeah, it isn't something you want to leave up to chance. You never know what other top teams in this group are going to be struggling. You never know what bubble teams are going to be having a great day. And you don't want to run into a team on the upswing who, you've just lost a series to go 1-1. What about a team who've just crushed their series to go 1-1 from a 0-1 start? The momentum really does play a big factor. So even more reason to just put your heads down, get the 2-0 series lead. And seeding as well for the second stage is it's completely affected by performance in this first stage. So there's so much on the line here, even though it's early in the day.
So what we're saying here is just win.
Yeah, just make sure you win.
Make your lives easy. Just win. Winning
lose.
is easier than losing.
Yeah.
Trust
us.
As it should be. As it should be. Definitely rewarded for it now in RLCS Season X. J-Rus is the midfield option. Let's get a hold of it, and Shock's ready. Soniqs just all over these passing plays. Definitely finding each other, and that's something that was a bit of a send away from what we got from them in the last game. Peeps just trying to find a few demos, trying to upset the rotation. Shock's got to try and figure this out. He couldn't do a thing. AJ will bundle the ball over.
That's hilarious. We saw a little standoff there. Aleutian is waiting for Shocks to make his move so he could bump him. As soon as he did, you're going to get much more distance on a player if you bump them after they've jumped. So that's pretty smart by Aleutian. He didn't want to go too early and give Shock the chance to dodge him and then save the shot afterwards. So a late chance for Peeps to make something happen, and they're going to get another opportunity. Good recovery by Sathya, but he's not cleared it well, and that's going to be a second goal. Aleutian, the scorer.
Well, this one looks an awful lot like Gyro's missed touch earlier on. It's a great read from AJ to keep the pressure. But again, if you are going to get these saves, especially when you've got that sort of time, you've got to get in a position that either A, your opponent cannot control in, or B, one that you can follow up. And he achieved neither of those with that defensive touch, and suddenly Soniqs are right back into the thick of it. They've got 1 minute to hold on to this 1-goal lead. Well, and it might be 2. Oh no, just to the side.
Yeah, good power on the shot from J-Rus. It's something you do like to see, but if he had put that in the far post, that would have been exactly what Soniqs needed. That might work out. Oh, what a save by AJ. J-Rus passes this round up to the side. Opportunity for Soniqs again. This is stopped by AJ, and that is the kind of save that you were talking about, Shogun. He didn't just keep that ball at the net. He offloaded it for his teammate to follow up on. Double commit from Soniqs. They're still trying to get that 2-goal lead. Being careful not to overcommit while going for it, though. Or are they? As everybody flings himself into the play again.
I feel like the most awkward touch people have been able to do so far in this game is directly at the goalkeeper. And a lot of weird touches that put it straight over to the opponents. We had another one to cause that chaos. Here is the Peeps with their last chance. They've got 2/3 of the work done. That miss is going to allow Safu to come in, waste all the time off the clock. J-Rus somehow keeps the ball up. Now they look to work, and he did the hard part. Couldn't quite launch it over to a teammate.
That was close, though. Closer than Soniqs should have allowed it to be. I think the first goal, fair enough. You had a goalkeeper, it was Shock, stuck in a 1v2 situation. You're never going to be the favorite there, but the second goal showed one of the problems that Soniqs are having today, and that's just simply that they're panicking. When the ball's near their goal, they're panicking. They don't take a look at where the opponents are. They're just assuming, yeah, somebody must be about to shoot that ball. I better move it because there's no way that someone from the Peeps isn't already there. And then, of course, they make a slight touch on it, and it gets slammed straight back into their net by one of the Peeps players arriving a bit later than the Sonics defense were anticipating. So it's all for me about just staying calm, but also staying aware of where the Peeps are. If they can pay attention to the timing of the Peeps arriving on these plays, they're going to have an easier time defending against them.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to what we were talking about earlier on as well, is that if you put these two teams into that situation in a scrim, I feel like they deal with it a lot better than when you shove the name RLCS Season X in front of it. Suddenly, especially in your season debut, everything gets a little bit more scary. Every touch that you'd normally feel that a little bit more comfortable with is suddenly the most lethal thing in the world.
Got to credit Illusion again. He's looking pretty scary on the back wall for his team, consistently landing those bumps on the Sonics goalkeepers. It's another thing to think about, another reason to panic. You better panic on this one. Bullet pass from Gyro, and a great finish from Illusion.
I mean, I got to take a look at how quick Illusion was over it. He knew it was coming.
Wow.
Great play, great positioning.
That pass
there we go.
Sick. That pass was...
It's incredible.
A little pre-jump on the bounce. I mean, he just read the bounce perfectly. And it's one of those positions where it doesn't matter so much if you shoot the ball on target at the far post or miss the goal, because Illusion's positioning is served to make the goal bigger. You can have Gyro miss essentially to the left by a good margin, probably double the goal width, but still it counts because Illusion's there to poke it on target.
So, despite the fact that Sonics were the ones to get the last win, it is the Peeps who have got the last 3 goals. Very much the team that seemed to be taking back over. Gyro dances past J-Ras. He's going to try and go for the setup. Safu should be there, but still a clattering shot. And somehow Shock keeps it out. Good pressure still from the Peeps. Want to see if they can get the ball to drop down for another one, as they just lever on touch after touch, trying to see if they're going to get that panic play one more time from Sonics. It didn't happen. Shock again crucial to this Sonics defense when they do actually get the ball out. Gyro's now at a boost, pulls in his teammate, and that is a phenomenal save. Keeps it out, keeps it at 1.
Yeah, look how much distance J-Ross was able to clear that ball with. That's really the difference between that save and the failed saves that we had in game number 1 and 2 that are just, bobbling out to the edge of the box for another Peeps player to shoot from closer distance. So take note, Sonics players, that is what you want to be doing in those positions. They're really up against it here, but like I said in game 1, they've shown success from this kind of position in the past. They don't look too... I don't think they look too bothered by being stuck in defense. They manage their boost extremely well. As long as they can hold their nerve while they're waiting on the goal line for these shots to come in.
It has very much been a case of the Peeps haven't been able to bamboozle Sonics with any mechanical plays. Had a little bit more success when they've been looking for bumps and demos. As Gyro is looking for here, Safu ends up being taken out. Illusion levers it. All 3 players coming together. Triple the power on the save.
Yeah, we joke about that, but in this kind of position, you don't really have a choice. It's not like there's time to communicate who's going for that. You just have to go for it, make sure somebody gets the save. It's all Peeps right now. They're battering the ceiling above the goal. Just trying to get the ball to bounce down dangerously. But look at the composure again. That's what we talked about. They're keeping control of the back corner boost, and that's enabling Sonics to make saves over and over again. Safu just missing on his pinch clear. Let's Peeps attack once more. I think Sonics look pretty good when they're backed up in a corner like this. So far this game, we haven't seen any of those bad clear balls that we were talking about earlier on in the series as well.
That's one of the reasons why we do say that Sonics are so good when they're in the lead, because they can just soak up so much pressure, although that one was a bit risky.
They're doing well. They're doing really well. For a team who are stuck in their half and having to defend constant pressure against a Peeps lineup who are playing very quickly and really hammering their hits into the half of the Sonics. Credit where it's due. Sonics, they're holding on, keeping this game competitive. And they get one chance to equalize, though. Time is running out in that regard.
Yeah, in terms of exhibition of their defensive prowess, very impressed. In terms of actually getting themselves a chance to get back into this game, not quite so much at this point in time. They have got just over a minute to try and find something. Good pass off from Illusion to AJ, who couldn't make contact.
Sonics haven't had a shot yet. They have had 4 minutes with no shots on target, and for all of their capability to deny goals, is that going to count as a shot? It is! There we go, the first shot for Sonics. off a 50-50, but it's easily saved.
So the party popper's got to come out now, lads.
That's as a Scottish, football fan, that's very familiar to, just winning a throw-in in the other team's half. The whole crowd goes wild. Sonics fans are just over the moon with a shot on target there. But the result is the same. 30 seconds left for them to change that fact.
Safu does all right out of the challenge, but both his teammates are quite far forwards. Gyro always. He's just gone flip reset after flip reset, and that has meant there's been no power clears available for Sonics. Gyro's over the top. If there's going to be a creator, it's going to probably be him. He's got past one. Illusion covers. So far, very controlled. Gyro launches. Can't follow. AJ already up. Does win a good challenge against J-Rus. And they're going to have to go coast to coast if they want this. Safu has got shock in the midfield. Are they spotted? It's a lovely touch. Gyro drops it. And the Peeps dominant from start to end.
Yeah, we talked a lot in the middle of this game about how well Sonics were defending, because I think it is relevant. It's easy to miss how close a game is when one team are constantly pressuring the other, and I think this was still a very close game. It wasn't like Sonics were watching the ball hit off their crossbar, hit their post, and really be out of control completely. But we have to give equal credit to the Peeps for not messing up, not overextending with their offensive rotation at any stage during this game. They just gave it, they really left no openings for Sonics to exploit on the counterattacks.
I mean, I think the Peeps took a really interesting new attempt at going across defensive situations in Rocket League. They decided, yeah, okay, we've got the goal up, we need to defend, but we're not going to defend the goal. We're going to pretend like our entire side of the field is fully open on a game of drop shot.
Yeah.
They refused to have anything go into the orange.
Yeah, I liked what I saw from them. This kind of rotation, it indicates that they're communicating very well. That was almost one goal already. AJ pulling something out of his back pocket. We already know AJ can do incredible things all by himself in the solo plays, but who's going to be that man for Sonics? It can be an individual threat, 'cause it feels to me like that's what they need right now. They need to have some kind of threat to prevent the Peeps from just coming forward at them with this much consistent pressure. Clearly, the Peeps are just not really that scared of the Sonics.
No, clearly not. We are going to see Illusion try and buy his team a little bit of time. And I will make the argument here that if the Sonics are going to win this, and if they are going to get out of situations like this one, they've got to figure out Gyro more than anything else. Because Gyro, midfield, whenever he gets one touch, he has just been following at flip resets. He's forcing challenges out of those flip resets. And that just buys so much time for the Peeps to readjust off the crossbar. And here comes Illusion to finish it. But Gyro is provider.
Great touch from Illusion. He passed it off to Gyro, who was basically motionless as he jumped up to pop this shot into the bar. And the placement couldn't have been any harder to deal with for the Sonics, who have just received another massive problem in their run to winning this series. Once again, they're stuck in defense, and they don't look like they know how to get out.
Have not had an answer to any of these edge dribbles. And it is just killing all chances they have of getting a booming clear. This might finally be it. Illusion still stuffs it. And there we go, right back into the blue side of the field. There has been no such thing as a free ball in the midfield for Sonics. AJ looks to try and drop down. I think he might have run out of boost there. J-Rus over the top. Oh my goodness, that's two players out now. The Peeps looking to try and grab that second goal. Gyro drops it to AJ. AJ off the backboard. Their teammate a little bit far back. Illusion will just return into offense to maintain the pressure. But you take away the scoreboard.
Wow.
Oh, here we go. Well, there you go. Put it back on. 2 goals to the Peeps. I wanted to say there, Johnny, you take away the scoreboard and you try and figure out which team's down. You would say that the Peeps are down by 4 and are just desperate to get a goal. They are reckless in their offense. They are unrelenting. And there's been no answer from Sonics.
Yeah, I'm impressed. This is difficult to break free from. Peeps, they're just not scared of the Sonics. It's as simple as that. And until Sonics start smashing hard clears over the top of all 3 players, until they, hit a nasty passing play, setting up a counter attack, or just anything, pull a couple players into the corner and win a 50-50. Until they do any of these things, they're not going to stop attacking.
Sonics finally get a look at the orange side of the field. Gyro says, hope you enjoyed your short stay. We're going right back over here. You're used to seeing this one, but can you stop me? J-Ross will indeed do so. 2 goals down. It has been a 6-goal swing for the Peeps. And just ever since the end of game 2, it has not looked like it's been going any other way. AJ off the backboard. He's only going to commit 2 from now on. Peeps not quite as unrelenting as they once were, but that is really sloppy from Soniqs. Back into the midfield. A 3rd goal would very well end this series. So no Peeps are after that one.
Yeah, we're not far away from a confirmation that Peeps are just able to perform so much better in RLCS X than they were in the grid. Well, during this regional, I should say, than during the grid, where everything's been falling apart for them and they've just been unimpressive throughout. Now, they are playing some great Rocket League, and they are definitely a threat to some of the top teams in this group.
This has been an utter dismantling. It really has so far. Lucian just over the top. All the 1v1s going against them. All the team plays being won by the Peeps. Soniqs might be down by another. It's a great save from Shock. Snafu's trying to get it past, but there's just no real momentum on the ball. You already see the Peeps. They don't need to go and challenge for this right now. They can just wait for it as OJ. Almost over the top of everybody. Gyro blasts the shot. It is just wide. But all 3 members in the blue side of the field still looking for that 3rd goal.
You know, sometimes we're seeing, you know, viewers and fans of Rocket League, even, you know, us casters, sometimes we wonder why our Team A just hard clearing the ball straight towards Team B all game long. Well, this is one of the reasons why. If you don't have the threat of a hard clear, if the other team know that you're just not capable of booming the ball over their head at any minute, they can just set up shop on the halfway line and, you know, put like this big invisible wall and deny you any access past it. And that's really been, for me, the problem that Soniqs have had. They've been organized with their defensive rotation, yes, and I'm, you know, impressed with their composure, their boost management while they're backed up into their goal line, but they just don't have a consistent way to say to the Peeps, yeah, you guys better watch out. You have to back up a little because we might just clear the ball now. I've not seen that for the past 2 games at all.
What we have seen is the Peeps thoroughly announce themselves to this regional. 3-1 they take it. And Soniqs, for all of the positives we've seen for the last few weeks, have them all dashed by the Peeps.
You know, it's often the offense that works for new teams, and the defense is the thing that struggles. But Soniqs, they look like they've got pretty good defense. They just don't have any real threat in the transition. So, I mean, they've got the opposite problem of most new teams. And I say new team, you know, Sathi and Shock are obviously teammates for a good while now. But J-Ross is a brand new player in this roster. They have to figure out, okay, how do we just get the ball into attack and do something with it? How do we threaten the other team so they back off just a touch, give us more space to work with? Until they can figure that out, and you know they've got to figure that out today. They're up again next round with a 1-1 score now. Yeah, they just have to figure out how can we hit the ball hard into the other team's sap. Maybe go back in a free play, just boom the ball around a bit.
Yeah, it's certainly been one of the more curious matches we've seen. I don't think we've ever seen a team in a long time, Johnny, just control the field quite as much as we did there. But it is going to be the Peeps now moving on to 2-0. They've got 3 chances to move through to next week. On the other hand, though, it is now time for the deep end for the Soniqs. When we come back, it is Rogue looking to continue what has been a really positive upswing for them over the past few months as they try and take on Jamal Jabari.